Welcome to the Twa Penguin podcast, your weekly dose of uplifting conversations and inspiring stories.
Sponsored by.
Okay.
Right. Thank you so much. Now that I can see you and we are good to go. Jeff, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine too. How's it?
I'm all right, brother. Thank you so much for your time. Honestly, technology was trying to affect the show going, but we've conquered.
Don't worry. Don't worry. That's the thing, man. The struggle is real, but we'll continue.
So to all those who don't know you, so guys, Jeff is a mentor. He's a relationship coach as well, you know. So he's a chef as well, and we are privileged to have Jeff on the show. I'm really honored to have Jeff on the show. And Jeff, do you just want to greet the listeners and then we get the show going?
Thank you so much, listeners. So my name is Jeff, but in the streets, I'm known as Jeff K, the relationship coach. I specialize more on relationship. And of course, I bake cakes. You know, if you want to order a cake, I can deliver a nice cake for you right here in Zimbabwe. We get to that. But also, you know, one key thing is where I love the most is dealing with real life issues in terms of managing relationships. You know, whether people are married or not, how people stay together in the families. So that is what I do. Thank you so much.
All right. No, thank you so much, Jeff. That's a lovely intro. So, Jeff, the reason why I wanted to bring you onto this podcast today was I got somebody inboxed me. They were having issues. And so this guy's from Zimbabwe, and he came to the UK as dependent on his wife, COS, which is Certificate of Sponsorship.
Yep.
And, well, at the moment, the wife is the breadwinner, and he's still trying to find his feet. So what has changed? What the guy said to me was like, he wants to relocate. He wants to go back home. Reason he wants to go back to Zimbabwe is that he said that if his wife comes back from work and he hasn't cooked or he hasn't done the dishes, he says she just goes here, and he said that she really ill-treats him, and she gets to a point where she tells him, this is not Zimbabwe, this is not Africa. So yes. So yeah, Mangamaka Jaidzwa, wherever you were, this is Europe. Okay. Everyone's got rights, so there's no roles, there's no rules. So the guy was like, guys, his things changed the way they used to be, you know. How do you tackle such? How do you address that? Because the guy was like, he was really like saying, guys, help me out here. I'm struggling. How can you help me? Because maybe things have changed and he doesn't understand how this relationship works, especially if we are now in Europe. So this is why I decided, like, you know, you've got experience, you deal with such issues as a relationship coach. What's your take on this one, Jeff?
All right, thank you so much. It's quite a sensitive and interesting topic. So I'm going to give you some facets on such matters, right? So one thing that I want to say to the listeners is, whether you are in Mbari or Highfield or UK or USA or Canada, your relationship is not defined by your location. That's point now, right? Relationship is not defined by location, because remember, this is a foreign land where you are in. The way you are supposed to be submissive and the way you're supposed to be treating each other as couples is not supposed to even change when you relocate. Remember, you know, people make vows, right? Whether it's a white wedding or whatever, people do make commitments to say, I'm going to be with you for better, for worse, and that kind of thing. But you'd find that now, the problem now is when we put environment as the first thing that affects our relationship, when we put finances as the first thing that affects our relationship, then we are losing it, right? So one thing that my sisters need to understand is that whether a man is in UK or is in Zimbabwe, right? A man expects the respect that he was getting when he was here, right?
Yes.
So what then couples need to do? Couples fail to do what is called change management, right? Which is change of environment, right?
Yes.
So before you relocate or when you relocate, the thing is to sit down together and then say, okay, we are now here, right? What are the challenges or what are the risks that we're likely to face, right? So the challenges are that there are long shifts, that side, people tend not to have adequate time together. It's difficult to get a house help, just like what people do here. So meaning to say there is need for division of labor, right? Because here we are dealing with a situation that is there to say, if I am not going to work as a husband in the UK, right?
Yes.
And I am home, right? And my wife is going to work. Definitely, I need to take part in the household responsibilities, right? Yes. I know socially, people have said, they've listed to say men are supposed to do this, and men are supposed to behave like this, and these are the expectations of men. Yes, that is very true. But now we need to look at the environment where we are. But one of the factors now that I want to say to the listeners is that contextually, where you are, you need to agree on how things run. But the problem now is the approach. Because what I am picking from you is that the wife was now prescribing to say, this is now what you have to do. Now, the problem with men is no matter whether a man is poor or a man is rich, they don't want to be challenged, right?
Yeah.
There is a better approach of handling the situation, right? So when a lady then starts to show some financial muscle to say, just because I brought you to the UK, you have to do this. Just because I paid for your COS, you have to do this. That's not the way things are done, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way things are done. It's open and clear communication is to say, my love, this is the situation on the ground.
Yeah.
We are now in Europe, right? I've got a shift, you've got a shift. How best can we then work together, to be able to maneuver around the challenges that we are facing so that we take care of the responsibilities? Let me tell you something. There is nothing wrong with a man washing dishes. Get this right.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing wrong with a man changing diapers.
I do.
There's nothing wrong with a man cooking, particularly when it's done out of love.
True.
True. So when it's forcefully done now to impose, to say, twa, sukamandiro, twa, do this, without the appropriate approach, then the marriage would die. So unfortunately, the problem with us now is we then tend to forget the basis of the marriage when you go to the diaspora. I've been there several times, and I've witnessed that, sometimes marriages, they're actually so fragile because people don't actually spend time together. People are concentrating so much on the pounds such that they forget the relationship. So one thing that people need to understand is this. It's only a short time when you've got power to make money. You need to understand that people need each other, whether you are in the UK or not. Let's not be blinded by making money. You see, that is why you find one of the things that then happens twice is that most men, whether they are in any country, they want to be the ones, having the highest stake of, let's say, is the men's responsibility to pay fees, the men's responsibility to pay rent. Why is that so? Because men don't want to be undermined, right?
Right.
So to me, I am seeing a communication challenge. I am seeing a challenge where the wife then wants to overpower the man simply because he is earning more money than him. But you know what? I'll be honest with you. I have seen marriages, even that side, where wives are earning far much more money than their husbands. But you would never see it. The husband is always given their role. The husband is always given their position. Because lest we forget, we are in the foreign land, my brother.
Yeah. True. So I already, Jeff, I feel like you've tackled almost every angle of that. Yeah. So I was actually surprised. I was touched by the comments that I saw now, because somebody posted something similar like that, like, okay, guys, listen, if I don't wash the dishes and when my wife comes back from work, it's war. And he mentioned, and he said that he mentioned something like, he said that if she comes back and she finds me just lying down watching telly, he told me that he can no longer, like, there's no longer intimacy in the house because the wife brings things like, he says his wife brings things like, that's what you are good at. This is not Zimbabwe. This is not Africa. There's equal rights. There's human rights. There's equal rights. Ladies here have got rights, so you cannot tell me what to do. And then, so he was asking me, because he said, okay, Twa, do roles change? Is there anything called roles in a relationship, like as the husband or a wife? Because people have changed. Let's say there's a Zimbabwean way of doing things, okay, or there's a way people behave when they're in Zimbabwe. I'm trying to think, is it the same way people behave when they're probably in South Africa, Botswana, or it's different when people come to the UK altogether?
You know what? It's the challenge of the environment.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So when you move to another place, you need to take cognizant that if you don't treat yourself very well and get highly influenced by whatever is there, your marriage is going to break. Right? It is going to break. So I'll go back to the first question. Do roles change when someone goes to the diaspora? Right? You need to understand this. Roles and responsibilities are agreed between couples, right? The only challenge is the expectations, right? So when someone gets married, there are a lot of expectations. You know, I expect you, I expect you to, a man to be doing this, and I expect you as a wife to be doing this. And then people enter into a marriage with a list of things where they tick. You know, when Twa does not do this, you've done wrong, you've done wrong, you've done wrong, you've done wrong, you've done wrong. You know, and when your wife has, you know, you have done wrong, you've done wrong, you've done wrong, you've done wrong. But you need to understand one thing. When two people get married, right?
Yes.
These are two unique people with different strengths, with different capacities, and with different potential, right? So what then needs to be done is to identify each other's strength, right? And say, okay, you are good at this. I'll be honest with you. I've got a boss this side where she has told me that it's a lady. Her husband retired, right? And most of the time he's at home. He's the one who makes the breakfast for the lady. He's the one who prepares the dinner. So she was saying, you know, I am so lucky. This is a 50-year-old or 60-year-old couple where the lady said, you know, I only cook during weekends because Hubby sees how busy I am, and then he then does the cooking. So you'd find that roles, yes, and responsibilities are classified by society. That is why the lady is saying we are now in the UK, because it is the society that is classifying that when your man has come to the UK, this is what men in the UK do. But I want people to go back to just the two of them in a closed room to say whether we are in the UK or whether we are in Zimbabwe or Zambia or Tanzania, how then should we run our relationship, right? That is the most critical thing. And also to my brothers, Twa, you know what? You will never, you will never lose your manhood if you do house chores. Do you get it? You know, you can't stay in a dirty house. You are home the whole day. Right? And then your wife is hustling, right? And you are home the whole day, and you are literally doing nothing about it, right? So it's critical that you use common sense, you know, to say, okay, I'm home, right? What can I do? Let me wash the dishes, you know, let me prepare the room, let me prepare food for my wife, because you are doing it for the one you love. So the problem now is people start to compete. You see, the problem is people in relationship, they compete, you know, to say who is big head.
Yeah.
Who's got the upper hand, you know? And the thing is, the things that we use as the upper hand are things like money, you know, because I've got more money. And some use sexual power, you know, to say I've got a very good body, so I will overpower you. And then we forget the critical foundation to say whatever we have will vanish. Money can go. You can be deported. You can be told, everyone, whether you've got a citizenship or not, go back to your home country. I hear it happened sometime in the 80s. Then when you then come back home to Zimbabwe, are you saying you now want to remodel another type of relationship? No. Relationship, it should continue, you know. So let's say they've moved to another country, Australia. Are they going to say, now we are in Australia, this is how Australian men behave, you know? No. Our behavior and the way we treat each other must be the same when we go. When you get married, remember, when people get married, they are now one, right? So we are working as a team. We are working as a team. And I want to say even to the ladies, even if you are owning man, you see, this is what men were saying, to say, you know, when a lady buys something in the house, let's say she's bought a fridge or a car, the whole clan will know, I am the one who bought this. I am the one who bought this in Zimbabwe, right? I am the one who has bought this car, right? Because to them, they look at it as a great achievement that I have done this man a favor to buy a stand. But sometimes when men buy things, they just do it silently, you know, and buy. So that's why you find that most men now, they don't want that type of environment to say, you know, to be undermined. Because remember, men have got an ego to protect.
True.
Huh? They've got an ego to protect, whether he is poor or not. Every man needs their type, their respect. So people must fundamentally, you know, go back to the basics. You know, unless if this couple is now at the verge of divorcing, or maybe there are other underlying issues that are affecting them. But to my brother who wants to leave, you know, the UK because of washing plates, I want to say there are things that are minor. I don't know whether we would call washing plates a major thing, right? If we call washing plates a major thing, then what would we title cheating? You know?
Do you know what, Jeff? I think from what I picked from that, right? I feel like one thing I've noticed, that I picked from some of these conversations, and if you get into these groups that people like involve themselves into when they come this side, right? You find that the way we were raised, okay, I grew up knowing that there's a head of the family, and you know, there is a neck in the right? But somehow it's not like that anymore in some relationships this side, because of the environment, like you mentioned. Unfortunately, this is really affecting a lot of couples, you know, because like people come here and try to adapt to a culture which is not ours, which is not their culture. You get my point? They come to adapt to a European culture, which is good, which they are not well versed with, and this really affects them, you know. And to my surprise, I think you really touched a nerve when you said, you know what, you can do these things out of love. There's nothing wrong if that guy will say, you know what, I'm gonna do the dishes for my wife, I'm gonna wash the plates, you know, I'm gonna help my wife like this. I think the problem comes now when there is like, you know, I brought you here, so you don't do these dishes, you have to go back, because I can't stay with a useless person. Because unfortunately, what most of the guys that I've been with, the way they are crying, they're saying, look, we were, because you know, most of the guys also, they don't understand that they can actually get jobs here if outside the healthcare system. But unfortunately, the easiest way to get this side is through the healthcare, you know. So it's easy to get your way here. So the guys, as most of them are assisting their wives, spouses, to come this side, you know, because it's easier for the wife to get here, and then the guy can be a dependent. So the guys are saying, look, when we're in Zimbabwe or in Africa, we never had a problem. When I was earning money and doing all those jobs, I never complained. But this side, I've been brought from my comfort zone. I'm this side now, all of a sudden, I'm a useless husband. I get all these insults if things are not done. And they're saying it's the way they're being told off. Like, Saka, you haven't done this. What do you expect it to do for you?
Exactly.
This is not Zimbabwe. Like Zimbabwe. I don't know where that statement comes from, but I go to Zimbabwe, that kind of thing. And guys, if you are watching, welcome to the Twa Penguin podcast. Today I've got a very special guest. That's Jeff K. Jeff K Talks. You know, he's a relationship coach, he's a mentor. You can follow him. He is on Facebook. He does a lot of shows on radio as well. So Jeff is helping us tackle this issue whereby I got approached by Anonymous, and he was telling me how he wants to relocate back to Zimbabwe because he is saying that if his wife comes back from work and hasn't done the dishes or he hasn't cooked, he's told of how much is useless, how much is now a dependent, how much he is now become a burden. And he's saying when he was making it back then, he sacrificed everything to come this side because he was trying to live his wife's dream, you know, so that they could start afresh. So this is the topic that we're tackling. So if you guys in the comment section feel like you want to contribute, you can please just send me a text. I can add you, then you say your story, especially females. I want to understand your angle because I don't want it to sound like these are two guys who want to be alpha males and really we just want to
bombard the ladies, huh?
No, exactly. So we want a situation where you guys chip in and we have this conversation, then we take it from there because we're trying to help. Relationships are really dying here. You know, I've got a lot that I've known that really, you know, people they've crashed and stuff like that, which as I feel like I don't want to be mean by saying simple things like what you say, Jeff, to say that if this guy wants to relocate to Zimbabwe or to Africa because of washing dishes, there are bigger issues than that. However, I also think that there is a way that people can address these issues, you know? So, yes. So, guys, if you're in the comment section and you feel like you've got something to contribute, just write a text message to say, add me to I can aid you. Then you say your side of the story. I can aid you and we can have this conversation live, you know? I saw in a text message here from one of my sisters, Felicia, saying, so Twa, should we blame the women?
No.
No.
We are
We're not blaming anyone.
You know, we are actually not blaming anyone. The thing now here is when people say communication is important in marriage, right?
Yeah.
Let's not take it lightly. The way someone addresses a problem.
Sure.
I want to give an example, right? I'm a relationship coach, right?
Yes.
So if my wife comes, let's say we were that side, and then she comes to me and says, sweetie, how come you have not washed the dishes? Can't you see that our house is looking untidy? You know, maybe the time when you get free time, can you be able to do the dishes, right? If I'm a person who reasons enough, right, I have been informed in a polite way.
Right. Yeah.
So, example number 2, someone has just come from a shift, right?
Yeah.
They open the door actually, and then they look so puzzled. And then they say, what is wrong with you? You have not done the dishes. Is that the reason why I brought you here?
You
see, this is UK.
Yeah.
So you see, this is a different way of communicating the same message. So what then happens? There's one of the shows I did where we were talking about the men's brains and also
I watched it. I watched it. That was deep. I watched it.
You see. So what then happens is this: the moment you open your mouth, whether you are a man or a woman, the mind of a person goes into defense mode. Number 1, it also goes to look for more offensive things. So when a lady speaks in that way, the thing that comes into the man's mind is she's undermining me. What is she trying to say? She is challenging me. Even if she's saying things that are right, but the approach, the tone of voice, and the way it has been addressed. And my question is, why then should we put plates and bringing someone to the UK as one story? So it is said that, women going Women put story number 1, story number 2, story number 3. They link stories, right?
Right.
So why link washing plates with bringing you to the UK? So what then will come into a man's mind is to say, did you bring me to the UK to wash plates, or you brought me to the UK for our relationship to continue? Do you get what I'm saying? Because the reason why you're saying I did not wash the plates is I brought you to the UK and I've got my expectations. I've got conditions that since I have brought you here, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So the moment the tone of voice comes in that direction, a man feels attacked. I want to speak to those who read the Bible, if they are Christians here. Right, there are verses in the Bible that say a man would rather stay in a one-room corner, right, with a very quiet woman who respects him, than to stay in a mansion which you know, and all that kind of thing. You know, everyone wants a peaceful environment. So before you say out words, before you make out a request to anyone, just think and say, whatever I'm about to say, what impact does it have on my partner? Is it undermining my partner? Is it showing some signs of respect? So I want to say, if then the husband would respond in the same way she has uttered, that way, you'd find that there would be chaos in that house. Actually, that's why people end up fighting, because people are challenging each other. People are showing each other muscles, you know? So it's important that couples in the UK, couples in Zimbabwe, couples everywhere, they should learn to humble themselves when they are communicating matters, right? It is very critical that you humble yourself, my sister, even if you're listening on the show, anyone, or my brothers, humble yourself and try by all means to make this relationship work. Otherwise, do you know the amount of energy that is spent on people quarreling is far much more than the energy that is required for people to love each other.
True.
You know, think of what you feel when you are angry. You see the amount of strength, you end up even feeling angry. You know.
Do you know, like if you smile, I think you use about 4 facial muscles, and then when you're mad, it's over 64 that you use.
A lot of
angry, a lot of them, you know. And I'm just watching a message here from one of our brothers. His name is Keith. He's saying, you are tackling a major problem that we are also facing here in South Africa. Visa, also the problem that many in South Africa are facing with our Zim women. Like, I brought you, you are under me, you know. So it then becomes a problem. And I think, Jeff, you really are tackling it very well, because it's about the way you talk to somebody. Is the way you bring it up. So I feel like how you actually asked a very good question, like, how is cleaning dishes and I brought you to the UK, how does it become a one statement, like in one sentence, you know? So it's sad that couples are really breaking up because of that. You know, to be honest, non-judgmental, I've gone to events, you know, I MC events, right? And I see a lot of these non-judgmental, please don't judge me, guys, I'm just saying it, what I've witnessed. I've seen some married women, okay? I know everybody's got a right to dress the way they want, right? So I had an interesting conversation last week. I was emceeing at a very, you know, Black History Month. I had some, you know, there was a lot of Black people there, and some married women, the way they were dressed, to be honest, like 3/4 of their body was not covered, you know. And it's one of those things where I was like, I just had a chat with them, like, how is it with the dress code? And just having a chat. The responses that I had, I felt like I shouldn't have asked. I was told, you've got a primitive mind because you're a Zimbabwean man, right? Just because we had the conversation, I was told how I was primitive, and they've got a right to do what they want. So, you know, guys, this is where we are. And I was like, is there a way, you know, that, you know, we can address this? But it's I was told that we are in Europe, we do what we want. So guys, if you just join in, here on the Toa Penguin podcast, we're just tackling an issue about somebody who approached me on the inbox telling me that he wanted to leave the UK because he felt he was being disrespected by his wife as his expectations were, he said, and I quote, are too much. He's saying that if she comes back from work and hasn't done the dishes or he hasn't prepared a meal, he's actually told Kuti, this is not the reason why I brought you to the UK. I can't be doing everything for you. So the guy is on the verge of, he wants to leave. So this is the reason why we're having this podcast, just to ask, like, guys, is there a way that we can, how then do we address such issues, to say, okay, is there a way, this can be, is there a better way that couples can communicate, So if you are in the comment section and you feel like you've got a say, you want us to discuss this, just let me know. I can invite you and then we can have a chat. I'm not so sure what happened to my co-host. Jeff has disappeared. Jeff, if you still can hear me, just send me another invite. I can accept you. Okay. Colin, Kodzande, welcome. So I'm actually reading a comment from Keith. It's so touching because saying even in South Africa, many South Africa are also facing it that if you are a dependent on a wife's visa, it's a challenge. You're told all sorts of words and stuff like that. I'm not saying the women are wrong or anything. I just want us to address the issue. See, guys, what's wrong? Where are we getting it wrong as Zimbabweans? Where are we getting it wrong? What needs to be done? How are we supposed to communicate as couples? How are we supposed then to assist one another? Because we are in foreign land, definitely, and things do change. So that's what I wanted to understand. Like, so if things have changed, how do we address them? So I'm trying to add my co-host again. I don't know how best I can add him. I don't know what happened to Jeff. I'll send another invite. Yeah. Jeff, I think you need to log out and then log in again. So I've just seen a message from, I don't know where it's coming from. I'll read it. I'm scrolling down. Sorry guys, just bear with me. I've lost my co-host, and it's always good to have him. I like to have him on the show because Jeff, if you can hear me, sign out, sign in, and then send me another invite. Then we get the show going. So guys, what are the roles then? I understand that roles have changed. Okay, which roles have changed, guys? If I just saw a message, I'm trying to read where it's coming from. I'm not so sure from which from. It popped up. It was a pop in. It said roles have changed. So which roles have changed, and who's supposed to do what, guys? That's really interesting. So if, like I said, if you want to join in, please just send it. Just let me know. I can add you because there's a lot of people who have joined in. So I don't want to add those who don't want to be added. Want me to add them, right? So the guy is relocating because of the misunderstanding, and he feels like he can't do this. He can't be washing. He can't be doing dishes. He wants to relocate. I'm not so sure, because I think Jeff really touched on those issues. Like, if you are here, you need to be, you need to understand your goals as a couple. What brought you here? What is it that you're looking for? What defines you as a couple? I'm not a relationship coach. That's why Jeff was here. He was really tackling it very well, and it is what it is, guys. But then it's so sad. It's so sad that a lot of these relationships, if you're watching it, most of these relationships are ending because of misunderstanding, and I don't know how best this can be addressed. I'm just saying, my biggest question is, where are we losing it as Zimbabweans? So Not Guilty Nation says roles have changed because back home Waimutonga. I'm not so sure what that means, but guys, what do you think? Not Guilty Nation says, Guti, the roles have changed because back home Waimutonga. If I may ask, right, what is Kutonga Munu, guys? what is it that kutonga munhu, guys? What is it? What does it mean if you say kuti waimutonga? You know, kutonga munhu. I don't know what it means. I'm sending one invitation to Kid. Someone, can you please answer me? What is kutonga munhu? Because sometimes is it that when you've got I don't know, my rules and regulations, kana kuti this is how you want the house to be, kutonga munhu, Can you hear me?
Yes, Twa.
Yes, Keith.
Baby.
Hi. I'm good, my brother.
How are you?
I'm good, Papa. How's it?
Good, bro. Long time, eh?
Long time, my king. How's it?
Dude, I'm hanging on there.
Good to see you, man.
But anyway, I heard your debate or your topic,
yes.
It means that men, we have no values nowadays. Because remember,
right.
You paid Lobola bride price and everything that you have done that your in-laws asked for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just goes back to our forefathers and when our parents were getting married to our mothers. Yeah. So no. If it's a person who was raised with two parents, let me put it that way. Yeah. You should know your role as a man and you should know your role as a woman.
No. So kids no because someone says Anzi, the roles just now, like Anzi, the roles have changed because I'm just reading from Anzi Not Guilty Nation. He said I'm not so sure he or she. Not Guilty Nation said my roles are changed because mutonga. So then my question is, what is kutonga mun? Maybe because
no. Yeah.
What is kutonga mun? Maybe you can address it better.
No, that's why I wanted to ask you what is kutonga, because come on, guys. You remember before you get married, you sit down with your uncles,
right?
And they'll tackle few of things that you have to expect, or you have your role as a man in a marriage.
Yes.
And you have to know those roles. As a man, I'll be expected to do 1, 2, 3 things,
right,
as a man.
Right.
Yeah, these are the things of cleaning dishes, cleaning the house. It all depends. Because remember,
yes,
spread a bed.
Right.
And after they got married, they became different.
Right.
So this goes back to how when Pamakasangana, it all contributes a lot.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So you cannot expect you get married just within 3-4 days. You get married because you fall in love. There'll be a lot that will come. This is where maybe our brother, he should be a bit specific of his relationship before marriage. Yeah, it also counts a lot.
Yes, I hear you, Keith. And you know what? So this is where I've always wanted to hear it from a female's perspective, because I just don't like it when it's males having this discussion, because sometimes it feels like it's an alpha male thing where you're trying to get this and that and because if you look at it, like now you see there's a comment which came in like, the reason this is happening because iwewe uri Africa why mutonga, and definition of kutonga mun personally I don't know it. So this is what I want to hear from. Or maybe let's do this. Not Guilty Nation, what do you mean kutonga mun? Maybe you've got a different way of explaining so we can understand, because personally I don't understand it. And I'm adding Jeff now. I think if he accepts, he's showing that it's about to add him, and because he's the relationship coach. Jeff, there's no answer from him. I'll send him another one as well, because
do you remember when we were still the other side of the world together, right?
Yes.
We had a brother. Remember, the brother was selling CDs, and the wife struggles and sacrifice for him to went to UK, because I'm not in UK, to come that side, right?
Yes.
So do the guy has to lose his manhood because the wife apparently sacrificed everything for him to be abroad.
So I think, you see, Jeff, Jeff, you need to come back. I can't handle this on my own, honestly. Jeff, I've sent you an invite. You need to accept it.
But
This
we
one,
have so many guys. We have so many guys in South Africa that a wife apparently came first because of green pasture. Maybe she have got a job before the husband, and then the husband has to come join the wife in South Africa. Let's not put the UK or America, right?
okay.
So, what are the intentions of women? Then you have brought me in to South Africa.
All right. So I've just had another comment from my sister Gertrude. Getty is saying, culture yedu ine kakudzvanyirira vakadzi, but Getty, why do you want to leave us with in suspense? What do you mean, but?
No, it was making things to function very well.
Let me see, Getty, if you've got a chance, if you think you can come live, let me know. I can aid you, because you know, these are some of the things where, especially for me, I always like it, especially from the female point of view, because sometimes as guys, men have these conversations, and you know, women see things totally different from the way you guys see it. You know, like I said, the way this came about was like, the guy was saying he's relocating because his wife was like, if she comes back from work and she just stands by daughter, wakatorara ndozvaunogona, that's what wakabvira kuAfrica, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, he says sometimes, you know, it's like, Hansi, you know, being home the whole day doesn't necessarily mean that and somebody, I've been trying to get a job, I'll be running around the whole day. That's why sometimes you're told to do my online, so I'll be tired too. So I'm just thinking I'll do it later. But Hansi, when the queen of the place comes and those things are not done, Hansi twa my water, you know. So
let's go back to relationship before before marriage.
Oh, Jeff, thank you for coming back. Jeff, don't do that. Jeff, don't do that to me.
Network, my brother. Network, you're jealous.
You know,
it's okay. Let's continue.
So, Jeff, I think when you were not here, I got Keith. He just joined from South Africa, and so we had a comment from what's his name? From someone saying that Guilty Nation, not Guilty Nation. They said that you were Africa, you know. So, Inini, my question is, Jeff, now, what is Kutonga? Because Inini, I'm not so sure. Then not guilt is not stopping. Not Guilty Nation says, don't expect home culture treatment in a foreign land.
Okay.
Jeff, I think this is you know what, you come in and try and address this, because I'm not a relationship coach. I'm just trying to say, like, okay, how is this thing, you know, coming in? And not Guilty Nation, you know, you're the kind of people that if you feel you want to come live, let me know, so that you can actually say these things, not text, if you can. Because sometimes, you know, it's a conversation. It's like, you know, a dialogue. You know, you know what I mean? So, Jeff, what's your take on this one?
All right. Let me start. National Kutonga.
Hub Africa, welcome.
Yeah. Kutonga, what we mean, you know, like in our Shona culture, when someone says Kutonga,
right,
it means the other party has no opinion.
Okay.
Are we together? Right. So when ladies feel kuti vari kutongwa, this is a situation where you are coming in as the man and you are making all decisions without considering the opinions of your wife. Now listen to this. Listen to this gentleman. There are men who just give instructions. They will say, and then, you know, a lady is told, whatever I've said is actually what goes.
Wow.
Right? So people need to understand the reason why you are together. This is where we forget as couples. We are not only together for sexual fantasies, but the reason why you brought in another person to stay with you is you notice that one, you need support also in making decisions. As much as the final decision may be for the husband, right? Where you're coming in as the head of the family to say, all right, this is what then, we have said, but as the man, this is what I am saying is the final decision. But you need to understand that it's critical as men. Reason why ladies would then want to retaliate is we don't give them an opportunity to say out what they feel. Right?
Yeah.
We treat them as if they have no brains. We treat them as if they are children. We treat them as if they contribute something doesn't make sense. Listen to this. I want to tell you something that all men here should understand. Let's say you die today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have not empowered your wife to be able to make decisions. How do you expect that your family would run, right? Decisions must be made by the both of you such that when you die, there is a continuity of the family, right? So if you die with your ruling culture to say, then when you die, your children will start living according to what your wife now wants. Because the time you were alive, you never gave her an opportunity to air out her views. You never respected her voice. So it's critical. People who feel they are simply putting an outcry to say, you know what? You don't hear me. I want to tell you something.
Yes.
Here in our country, right?
Yeah.
I have seen men who have become successful simply because they listened to the valued points from their wives. You see, women, as much as they are classified as weaker vessels, but they've got that sense whereby sometimes, you need to humble yourself and try and listen to whatever they're saying. You might get valid points. Don't be in a defensive mode to say, no, I am the head of the family, I am the one. And then the funny thing is when you now want to be intimate, that's when you try to humble yourself. But let's say you want to become a macho man. But when it comes to do with bedroom issues, that's when you want to humble yourself. So ladies, then they start to feel used to say everything that happens in this family, you don't listen to me, but you only want to listen to me when you want to sleep with me. So with that now, they'll then take that as an opportunity to challenge you when they are now have finances. Because you now be saying, okay, now that I've got the financial muscle, now let me utilize this financial muscle to be able to tell you what you didn't want to listen to when you were the one providing for the family. So by them being weak, they then go an extra mile to even say out things that will harm you, because sometimes they may even fail to have boundaries. Whatever was hammering in their mind, the moment they have that power, it's like a cat that has been let out. That's why they'll say, and I'm gonna say that is why you find good most men, because of the nature of how women are. That's why some men don't even want their ladies to work. Because they realize, this one, the moment she gets some finances, I am going to be in trouble. But the moment when you start having this as a teamwork, to say, you know what, we've got a plan to do this. What do you think? And then the other party shares their opinions, you share your opinion, and then you have a common ground. When you fail to have a common ground, that is when you can then make a decisive decision as the head of the family to say, this is the direction that we want to take. But I want to say, men who are listening here, it's not a thing that ladies are always wrong. Take time to listen to them. If you have trusted them to take care of your children, if you are trusting them with your life, sharing the same bed with them, them not poisoning you. These are the people who can kill you. Remember that. This person who cooks for you, this person who irons for you, this person who does it, she's got capacity to kill you. So you also need to respect whatever she says, because she also thinks.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, just give us, Keith. I'm gonna add you. I'll add you back again. I want to add someone, Keith. I'll add you just now.
Okay.
All right. So Jeff,
Okay,
you know what you've said. Keith, you can exit because I can't take you out now.
Okay.
Thanks, my brother Keith. I'll talk to you just now. Jeff, you know what? I went to it was like a picnic in the park, right? We get to this picnic and everyone, it's self-service, right? If you ever been embarrassed to be a Zimbabwean man, like to just have like that day I was embarrassed, you know, everyone has got his wife or spouse or girlfriend, everybody's there, you know, it's self-service, like you just go take a plate and you dish yourself. There was one typical Zimbabwean man, he was sitting with his legs like this, with his tummy was like this, right? And he was saying to his wife, calling his wife like that in front of everybody. So the wife, so his wife came through. You know what she did, Jeff? She dished for him, right? This is an open park. We did it was a picnic at the park. Like just everyone, people minded their own business, but we had our own spot. Do you know what? When the wife, she was serving him, I think she started kneeling about 5 meters away from him. Then she was Nemavi, like she was. What do you say? From Nemavi. She was crawling with a plate of food to save him. And I'm thinking, even if it's, I don't know which culture culture that is, I felt that was wrong because it's self-service. It's a picnic. Everyone else is having a good time. Why then should you subject your wife to such? Do you know what I mean? Humiliation. Yeah, that's so that one's got nothing to do with respect. Okay. And also just to chip in on it. So I am just getting some of the comments here. Getty says, sometimes she agrees with what you're saying, Kuti. Jeff and Shingon's Nibaba, you need to submit. And then not guilty, says Jeff, you're on point. But then I've got a comment from Johnson. Johnson is saying, Murutangira kumsoro. Pene issue yekutanga inopa murume that power yeku dictator. What's your take on this one, Jeff? All right, yeah. So I agree with him to some point, right? Yeah. Some men, there are instances where you have to detect, right? So what are the instances where you have to detect? The time when you are seeing that the decision that your wife is pushing you towards causes a risk to the family. Right. 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 So for example, I want to say, my finances, they are not balanced. Right. Right. And your wife, because of pressure, she wants you to send a child to a school that costs more than what you can afford. Right. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. You are then putting your family at what? Risk. At risk of poverty. So that is when you step up and say, we are not going to do this because we can't afford. So that's when authority actually takes place. You analyze the situation as a man and look at the probability and chances of the risks within the family, right? Because you see, one thing you need to understand is this. By nature, ladies succumb to pressure. That's why you hear the hairstyle that your wife has. She might not have even had it for you, but she's competing with other ladies in the community to say, my ladies, in the comment section. Whatever furniture you have in the house, right? It might not be because you wanted it, but it's because someone else is pressured, someone else bought something that is similar. So by nature now, it is critical to do a complete assessment. And then you see, okay, this is not worth arguing about. I think I argue these are minor things. But when it comes to major decisions that compromises your family's standard of living, that compromises the quality of your relationship, that's when you step in to say, okay, I think we have reached a point where we are not agreeing on this. As the head of the household, let's take this direction, right? But however, unfortunately, because now our ladies are economically stronger than us, right? Sometimes the men then, life is then compromised because she's putting bread. The moment you want to then try to argue and say, let's not do this, that's when she comes in and says, it is me paying. It is my money. Do you know what? The point you've just brought, Jeff, somebody said to me, I've got a guy, he's single, a friend of mine, and he said to me, hey, I said to him, when are you getting married? He says, I'm struggling here in Europe. I'm like, why? He's saying, in Africa, it was easy to get girls. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, because you know what? I'll just go to, whether it's a pub, I'll be having my money, I can buy ladies drinks, but this side is different. You get into a pub, every woman can afford their own drink. So he's saying that, he's saying that he doesn't feel like he's got that financial muscle anymore, which he used to use as an advantage.
That's the
You know,
problem.
you know now, Jeff. You know the way you've tackled it, and it. Back in, I think a few weeks ago, I had another very, like, it was a very sensitive topic as well, which I feel like it's going hand in hand with what we're talking about, right? It's said, you know, like if you are to go on the socials, I don't know if you guys see that side, but this side, it's more about, you know, the way most of the Zimbabwean women, the way they say bad things about Zimbabwean men. Sometimes it's vice versa, but it's not as bad as most of the women say bad things. You know, if you look at some of the, if you go on TikTok right now, just go, 1 in 3 posts from most of the Zimbabwean women, it's like, I'd rather die than date a Zimbabwean man, you know? And you look at it, and I once saw a post saying that the only time you get breakfast in bed from a Zimbabwean man is when you're in hospital. And I'm thinking, like, but then, to be honest, as one of the loyal Zimbabwean men, you know, and with standards, I felt so offended. But I said, I don't stoop so low to comment on such platforms because I'm bigger than that, you know, to say, but in my mind, I'm thinking, what kind of men are these women subjected to?
Right.
Do you get my point?
I get it. I get it. So you see the problem with men, us men as men, right? Is sometimes we are not romantic, guys. Let's be honest. Sometimes, you know, sometimes
women don't let us down, guys.
You know
guys,
what? Do you know something? Let me tell you. Sometimes we are overpowered by the thought of authority. You know, to say, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. And then we forget that we are staying with someone who is weak and delicate. Right? Women are so delicate. Yeah. That is why you find that any person who then gives them attention to show them that that person has got care and love, that person is, even if he doesn't have money, they are likely to, that person is likely to win the heart of a man.
I get to stop it.
Because it's not all about money, right? It's not all about money. The problem is, do you know, there's a time when I defined, what really does it mean when you say we love our wives? Right? So, I'm not guilty at all. So listen. You see the problem. That's why I'm coming in as a coach to help you. The problem with us, including myself, is what we think is loving our wives is paying rent, is paying bills, is buying a car and buying a house. No. That is not a sign of love. That is part of life for us to be able to live a better way, in a better way. Then, if my sisters here would come in and explain to them what actually love means to them, they will tell you to say, a man who loves is a man who gives me attention, a man who is affectionate, a man who is able to hold my hand.
But
a man
who is coach? Like,
who is
Jeff,
sweet.
Jeff, if you look at it, right? Because these days, if you look at most of the posts, people, what they talk about, it worries me. I want a man with this. I want a man with. Do you know, Gucci? You know, I once had another interesting topic where I said, okay, your expectations for another woman's son, are they the same expectations? Do you have the same expectations for your brother or your own father? Because it's 21. You want to date a 21-year-old who's got a car, got a house. Your father only finished paying mortgage when you only started paying mortgage when you were 62.
Yeah.
So how do you expect this 21-year-old to do that? So is it the pressure? You know what,
Twa? People need to understand this. Women fear poverty, my friend. That is why they want to start on a ground that is better. You need to understand that. So they may be said to be materialistic. Yes, that is true. Coach in the team, they may be said to be materialistic, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that you need to understand is one of the reasons then that leads them to prostitute, to be able to, is because they fear poverty so much. You can sleep on a packet of maputi for a whole month and be fine. But these people that we have married are so delicate. That's why you find even that side, the moment they then become financially strong, You see, and show you that I am now living the life I have always wanted. That is when they will start to then start to show signs of overpowering.
Do you know what I want? I want to prove a point, Jeff. You know, today what I want to do with you, we will round up this topic on Facebook, right? Okay. I want us to go. Unfortunately, I'm not so sure if we've got enough followers for you to come live, like so we can see your face. But you can still talk about my guests, and it doesn't matter. I want you to see that there's a difference in audience when you go to TikTok. Do you know, Kuti, the people there are they're angry. They're just. I'm telling you, like, to be honest, and I want us to go to TikTok. Very soon I want us to round up. We're gonna round off this one, yeah, and then we go on TikTok and have the same discussion. I want you to see that how productive it was this side, and the negativities are gonna come from that other side. I don't know why. You know what? I'm reading all the comments here, and you know what? I'll start with Anzina Johnson. I just guys go TikTok one. Right? That's number one. And then Getty says, guys, I'm happy now. My Nigerian guy always call me gorgeous, even if we're arguing. Listen, my gorgeous. That's lovely. I'm happy for you. Then Johnson is also saying, you're my Nigerian party. Like, guys, you know what? You know, not guilty says, but love, don't keep a relationship. It's all financial, both sides.
Can I comment on that one, Twa? Can I comment on that?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. You are very right that it's all financial, because we need to eat, we need somewhere to sleep, we need to have the basics. So money is very critical. If money, we wouldn't want to hide ourselves. Yes, a man can become so romantic, but if you are broke, you only last for a very few hours or very few days. Otherwise, you'd be made. I don't know if men are called side chicks or what. If a lady has got a side man, what do you call it? So some ladies who've got men with money, and these men are not romantic, they are likely to enjoy the money from the men with money, and then enjoy the romance from a poor man who knows how to satisfy them. So it is important that whether you are providing, you should be able to strike a balance between giving money and providing for the family, and being romantic also for your wife. Because remember, once money is there, you got a mansion and you've got everything that you need. If your relationship is not romantic, you will not ever enjoy that money, right? Someone is saying, Komwari, of course, we should always put God in front of everything, but also let's ask God to be able to give us the strength to be able to provide. So money is important, but let's be sweet to our partners.
Right. Thank you so much, Jeff. So guys, Jeff, before we round up Banditiga, before we close the show, I just wanted to say quickly. So as Zimbabweans, I don't know where we get it wrong, you know, because I want to give myself, I'll make a good example of myself and a lot of guys that I know, right? We are married also to foreigners, a lot of my friends, right? Happily married to foreigners. And then it gets me worried when people say that, when they talk about bad things, and unfortunately, they don't even say some Zimbabwean men. You know, they put all Zimbabwean men in that blanket, like one blanket, you know, and you ask yourself, I always wonder which Zimbabwean men they talk about. Because if I look at myself and the caliber of my friends, you know, the caliber of guys I hang out with who are Zimbabweans who are also married to foreigners, right? And then I try to relate to what these, and all these foreign ladies are actually happy with us, right? I know I'm staying a can of worms here, but I just want to understand, then why are we that bad when people talk to us? You know, why are we that bad? Like when they say things about us, why is it so bad? You know, it just gets me worried, you know, because some of us are regarded as well, like, you know, and then you ask yourself, like, Saka, which Zimmen, do you know, it hurts like for someone just wake up like, because I feel that's not true. Not all women are like that. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, that's true. So, so what I want to say to that point, Twa, is that there's something that is called stereotyping, right? Someone might have dated this Zimbabwean guy, and the guy broke her heart. She moves on to another guy, another Zimbabwean guy breaks her heart. So it is then blanketed to say, oh, Zimbabwean people like that. But remember, one thing that everyone needs to understand here is that relationships are between two people, right? And as they are between two people, these are the only two people who can actually understand themselves better. So the only problem, Twa, is this. When you look at your friends, and when you look at me, and when you look at other people, sometimes we don't understand some things that are happening within their marriages. So you need to understand that within a marriage, there are some private things that happen, such that even if you hear them, you'll be surprised that, this is how JFK behaves. I never expected that. Because sometimes the picture we portray, to other people, when we're out there holding our wives' hands and, giving them nice cars, and it's not actually the reality of things in the house. There are people who are driving nice cars, but they don't sleep together. There are people that have got things that we see and admire, but the moment they enter their doors, it's a battle, it's a fight. So it depends with now how your relationship is. Number one, even the foundation. That also goes back to the issue of what is happening in the UK and in the diaspora. The foundation of your marriage, if it wasn't strong in Zimbabwe, it will never be strong in the UK.
Gunshot.
Your personalities, the two of you, if you never loved each other, and if you're not there to commit to love each other, and you just got a list of things that are expected to be done, then you are always going to be having problems. So the issue is people don't understand the reason why people are getting married. We are getting married for companionship. That's the most important thing. Bringing two brains together to say, how then can we enjoy this short life together? Children come in as a blessing. Houses come in as a blessing. Cars come in as a blessing. But the two of you is the ability for you to be able to make each other happy. But that's the problem. Is this is the different perspective of people. The different perspective of people is they enter marriage with the thought to say, saka iwe ukatogara wapinda uine pfungwa yekuti zvinonetsa and zveshuva zvinokunetsa.
No, Jeff, what you just said now, yeah. Like, do you know, I stayed in Botswana. I lived in Botswana. I lived in South Africa. I lived in Swaziland. I lived in most of the Southern African countries. And do you know, it used to affect me when a Zim lady would come on live and say, Hansi, Mazimbabweans, anonua hapwa. You know, guys, do you know what kind of an insult? And I'm thinking, which guys do you talk about? Because in any I spray, like the cheapest I use is Liquid London, right? Singataure mama no dura. You know what I mean? So which ones do you talk about? Do you know that's generalizing things like that? I feel like it's so wrong, and we get it so wrong to come up to public platform. You know, I've like now, you know, I mentioned it recently. Could see, I don't like to talk about what can I say? Like on the Twa Penguin podcast, we don't really talk bad things about people. But there's a certain comedian, right? That even people are talking to me like, Twa, what do you think? I know it's about content, right? But the content that I've known him to be making as a Zimbabwean is the worst. He says the worst things about Zimbabwe, the worst things, nothing good has ever come out of his mouth about Zimbabwe. Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe it is content, it's a way of making money. But then when Tiffany comes now and says things about Zimbabwe, like, oh, it's a grocery store, Makushamisika, because it's how we're portraying ourselves out there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I know it's like I'm diverting a bit, but it just touched me to say like some of the things we say. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
So it affects me, Jeff, to say to someone to just come out live, Ote Anjoni, Zimbabwean man. It's like now, coming to be honest, guys, Zimbabwean women, most of Zimbabwean women are not saints either. Let's get that point straight.
Anyway. Yeah.
You know, Saka, let's okay, Jeff, we're gonna run this. This is a topic for another day. Because I wanted us, Jeff, you know what? I want us to go to TikTok and have this conversation. I want you to see the response, because there's so many negatives that comes from that platform that I always want, like, you hear, because people, they like to hide behind the keyboard, which I like. And it just gives us that perspective, like, really, do such people exist? You know?
Yeah, okay.
You know? So, to all those guys,
so maybe
yeah, sure.
Can I give some parting words for the team here?
Sure, please do.
Okay. So I want to say to you, it is up to you to make your relationship work or not.
Sure.
That it is up to you. It is all your energy, it is all your strength to be able to make your relationship to work. Look at your partner, right? Look at your partner and say, you know what, I married this person to love, but also you need to keep watch of their weaknesses. So the moment you understand your partner's weaknesses, sometimes some of the things that make you angry will no longer be making you angry. This is who she is. You know, if you have stayed with someone for a long time, you know there are things that that will never change. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even things like temper, you know, sometimes and all that kind of thing. It's critical that you then accept your partner's weakness and weigh options to say, okay, I should then live with this, or you know, I that can, because you're already in that relationship, right? Then maybe just going back to our topic, to the brother whom we're speaking about who wants to return to Zimbabwe. I think take time to really think about it and see really the benefits of going back to Zimbabwe. How is your life going to be if you go back? Sometimes, you know, people always say, sometimes your life other than you can make decisions out of emotions, which is what we usually do. We get angry, we make decisions out of emotions, then we regret. So you need to sit down, think deeper, and say, if then I am to go to Zimbabwe, how is my life going to be? Or now that I am in the diaspora, how best can I model my relationship to become better, right? If there are things that I can do to avoid quarreling, let me just do them. You know, if the lady is only complaining about plates, then it's a minor thing that can be resolved. But if there are other issues behind the plates, then this couple needs to sit down and iron out all the issues. Well, sometimes, you know, they say, right. But zero, it might be other things. It might be sexual, it might be financial, it can be other matters that were not resolved. So you find that when couples don't when couples don't resolve their challenges, sometimes the issues that come in front are not the real challenge. Because people may not want to really highlight the real challenge that is happening within the marriage. There may be other things that are actually happening before. You know, better girlfriend, UK, Zimbabwe, before they went to the UK, then those things would then come in as accusations. So as relationship coaches, as a relationship coach, I always say, sometimes it's good to open up the whole story and understand from them where this anger might be coming from. And then, you know, those issues are solved one by one. Thank you, Twa.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for your time today, for tuning in. That was our relationship coach, Jeff K, and he does run his own shows as Jeff K Talks. I know he goes on radio, he goes live also on Facebook, and also he does a lot of things. He's a chef. He's got PA systems that he rents out in Zimbabwe. So if ever you need an MC, PA systems, Jeff is there, and you know, especially in Zimbabwe, he can do that for you. And just guys, to close today's show, so the Twa Penguin podcast today was just about a guy who reached out to us saying that he wanted to leave the UK because he was having a misunderstanding with his wife, because every time she knocks off from work, if she finds him asleep or he hasn't cooked or he hasn't washed the dishes, he's saying that he's being told off, like, this is not the reason why I brought you to Europe. So we just wanted to address these issues, like, okay, guys, how best can we assist this couple, you know, to say, okay, are there any job roles? Are there any, what's expectations in a relationship? But I think, to be honest, to those who are tuned in, Jeff K really tackled those issues.